everyone. My name is Elle. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am chronicling my journey to my first ever bikini fitness competition. And I am showcasing, I guess, my workouts, my eating, my mental shifts, my day to day. I'm chronicling here on my channel. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I so appreciate you. Um, Something I wanted to talk about today. Um, I see a lot of like weight loss stories, but I wanted to talk about my weight gain story. Um, you know, I've struggled with my weight most of my adult life, like my adult life. As a teen, as a child, not particularly. Um, and I wanted to talk about how I got to this point. I guess about like being over 200 pounds um, when I didn't struggle with my weight when I was younger. And in fact, I've had some moments in my adulthood where I was uh, smaller, like um, maybe like 145, 150. And what exactly happened. Because maybe you can resonate, maybe someone might have gone through something similar. So um, I think, I think, I think I can divide it into two different areas, like areas of my adult life where I gained weight. Um, the first time was post my actually getting to a very smaller size. Um, I think I've talked about this on this channel. I know I may have said it on my TikTok, um, but I joke that I have no abs. Like no matter how small I get, no matter how lean I get, um, I don't have abs. Uh, that's the joke, right? Um, some people, some doctors can say, it's PCOS, or it's high cortisol, or it's genetics. And whatever the case is, or they can say something about like adrenals, my adrenal glands. There's all these things that um, doctors can kind of throw around, and people can kind of say, genetically, it's just difficult for me to get super lean. And that's why one of the reasons I wanted to compete, to kind of, push myself and see if I can get to that point. But regardless, going back to the terms that were being like thrown around, even when we consume media, maybe, we have high stress hormones and, it comes out in our belly area or whatever the case was. For me, it got extremely frustrating. Getting to about 145 ish. I'm 5'8". So I'm on the taller end. Getting to that point and not, um, having my abs be visible. Um, it got extremely frustrating. No matter what I did, I would lift heavy. I would lift frequently. Um, I would do a lot of cardio, and I would I would do keto, I would do paleo, I would do water fasts, I would no sugar added, intermittent fasting, you name it, I was doing it. Um, to no avail. I couldn't. Not only did I not get abs, but I also couldn't get below. Right, I had like a huge plateau, um, and it just got very frustrating. Um, Doing all the right things and not not seeing it manifest for me. So, it was like, I'm done. um, and that, I kind of stopped taking like fitness so seriously. I stopped going to the gym religiously. I think maybe everyone goes through that at some point. Like, maybe that's the equivalent of someone who's like, got a new job, and they have to focus on the new job, so they don't go to the gym so often anymore. I guess my priority stopped being the gym because I was like, it's just not happening for me. I'm frustrated. you know um they told me these are the things you do, and I bought programs. I was buying the programs and nothing. So, um and it was just like a frustration on my part, and I completely own it. Um, and that's when I think my weight began to creep up, like to like the 160s, 170s. For someone who's 5'8", it doesn't. Um, I was told, I carried my weight well. I don't know why people do that. Like, don't. I mean, my weight's my business. Like, I'm not really. And these are people like on the street, like people like doctors' offices. They're like, oh, you're like 170. You don't look it. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that, but that's like a side point. Uh, like, don't comment about people's weight, especially when like it's not solicited. But anywho, um, and so I'm kind of like in the 170s. So at this point, um, gosh, this is like at that point my 170s was like my highest, you know. And then I guess some things started happening in my personal life, um, which caused I think the next wave of weight. Um, and I think that wave um, specifically was me not really knowing how to handle the things that were happening. Um, I guess the best way to like say it was like there were a series of events completely unrelated to one another that were heartbreaking to me. Um, and I don't want to go into too many details like at this moment, but they were all like unrelated. They all had to deal with different people in different scenarios. But I think it got to the point where I didn't know how to handle like the sadness, because when the things were happening, the scenarios, the people in the different scenarios, it wasn't like I could go to them and say, I'm hurt at this point about your behavior. I'm hurt with what you've done. What your actions are hurting me. It wasn't. It was kind of like they knew it and they didn't care. So it was a kind of like you're on your own, which happens all the time. Like a heartbreak can come from your job letting you go. A heartbreak can come from a spouse or a partner. A heartbreak can come from a family member dealing with some stuff and taking it out on you, or whatever the case may be. A heartbreak can come from losing a pet. And I didn't know how, I guess, to handle that. Like I said, no one was kind of available to me, and it wasn't their responsibility to be available to me. Like, my feelings are my responsibility. So I guess from there came a lot of just like not caring and not showing up for myself, and a numbness that was just like, I don't care. Like I don't care about what happens around me. um, I just was very ambivalent about myself, about my health. Um, that didn't manifest into like my waking up and like eating a whole bunch of things, and then feeling better. No, it wasn't really like that. It was just kind of like I stopped going to the I didn't go really to the gym, because I remember I had given up. um and I would just eat whenever, whatever, without really like caring. Like, but it wasn't like massive, it wasn't large amounts of food. It was just like food that didn't really do anything for me. It wasn't nutritionally valuable. Like, it was just like nothing. We weren't looking into the high protein, low carb, heavy fiber. We were just eating. We know what we're eating, right? Um, and that would happen every day for like, until we got to where we got, where the high weight was 235. So both those cycles, I didn't know what to do with my frustrations. The first cycle of getting, and when I got to 170, and the second was like people in my life were making decisions that were not in my best interest. They were making decisions in the sense of like, when people do the things they do in their lives, um, and that hurt you, and their actions hurt you, and I really didn't know what to do. Um, and this happens even when someone passes. You grieve. Um, and the second part of the weight gain that got me to my highest was a lot of that. Things out of my control. A lot of things is out of my control. And I think things that were out of my control, and the way I reacted was like, I don't care. Like, I just don't care. So I stopped caring about myself. I stopped caring about getting to the gym. I stopped caring about getting physical activity in. We were not counting macros at this time. And now I'm getting down in this, I'm getting back down in the numbers, and I can be recommitting to fitness and recommitting to my health. I see that people around me can do what they want, and that's their prerogative. But it's up to me to be responsible to myself, to whatever the case is, get steps in, get the fitness in, eat healthy, do your body some justice, give your body some movement, clear your head. These are the things that I owed to myself, no matter what others are choosing to do. And that's one great takeaway. Learning, seeing kind of like my adult life play in front of me, and seeing, okay, when stuff hits the fan, you seem to you don't know how to, like, you kind of freeze. And now I am like, okay, with that knowledge, what can I do? Well, I can try to be active every day and try to be proactive, not so reactive. And those are the lessons I've learned. So I hope this video didn't ramble, I didn't ramble too much, and I hope something can be taken away. Um, I learned that, you can't control others. You can only control yourself, and you can only control your behavior. And if you don't have like a good behavior to control, you can try to create it. I'm trying to create a routine every day now centered on healthy movement because, for this year, for a good amount of months, I wasn't able to move because of injuries. But, you know, you don't, everyone has maybe a weight loss story or weight gain story, but whatever your story is, you can change it. I'm trying to change it, every day. It's not easy. It's very hard. Um, you know, every time I get on the scale and see a number while I'm kind of losing weight now, I'm like, I'm never going to see that number again. Like, I'm committed to trying to establish something better for myself. So thank you. Please like, subscribe, comment. Your support means the world to me. I never thought I'd have followers. As someone who's a little introverted, yes. So that's my weight gain story. I'm gonna try to put some pictures, my before and then my after, but it's gonna be reversed because I was thinner and now I'm a little, I've gained some weight and I'm losing it. So that's gonna be a little different before and after. So thank you guys for all your patience. I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, follow. Thank you. Bye.